Hey everybody, welcome to our Kickstarter Creator Hangout. My name is Stephanie. I'm broadcasting here from Kickstarter HQ in Brooklyn, New York. Today we are joined by Jenn de la Vega, who's also in Brooklyn, New York. Jenn has run a music project on Kickstarter to make a cassette of her music with a collaborator of hers. They have a project called The Short Sleeves. Jenn is also awesome at the internet. She's an all-around creative person, and we're super, super excited to have her here talking to us about bringing creative ideas to life in general, but also how do you do this crazy thing, this Kickstarter thing in the internet. So Jenn, so nice to have you here today.
Hi everybody.
So I think for those of you who are watching, we'll be taking questions via this Google Plus sort of window, this world that we're in. So you could submit your questions directly to us here. We'll be happy to ask them to Jenn on your behalf. Or if you prefer, you could submit them via Twitter through our handle @KickstarterTips. Again, that's @KickstarterTips. We're manning the Twitter feeds today. And again, we'll put those questions to Jenn. While we're waiting for questions to come in, I've prepared a few to get us rolling, and excited to see where this conversation goes. Great. So Jenn, one thing that's notable about you, you've run a project on Kickstarter, but you've also backed a lot of projects on Kickstarter, which is so cool. I spent some time exploring your profile earlier today. What is it that inspires you to back projects, that gets you excited? What makes a good project that sort of draws you in?
A lot of it is fun. The fun factor is really huge for me. One of my favorite projects recently was the bunch of balloons, like the, this guy had an annual balloon, like water balloon fight, and it was just so hard to just fill up all these balloons. And so he invented this thing that with one hose, you could fill up 100 balloons. And I thought that was crazy and awesome. And so I like a lot of fun projects. I also support a lot of things that my friends make. So I make sure to follow all my friends on Kickstarter. And so whenever anyone starts a project or anyone backs something that a friend of a friend has made, I find out about it and I check it out. And like, for example, my friend Victor, who lives in DC, has this wallet, machine era wallet. It was these brass pieces that had an elastic band. And I saw it and I was like, ooh, that's so cool. And we both backed it, and we went to a wedding together, and we both held up our wallets like, look, we're twins. So friends really make it more fun to support projects. And it's not like, if you see my profile and you see like 100 projects that I backed, it's not that I have $1 million.
Yeah. What's the secret?
$1 is enough to back a project and get notifications. Like, even just that little bit and showing your support to somebody goes a long way with creators, I think.
Yeah, totally. And I think that what you just said about having $1 and just sort of getting involved and following along, it's a great experience, right?
Yeah, because money is not the only way you can help people. I think a lot of the times I've commented or reshared a project on my social media platforms, and getting the word out is just as much as like a donation.
Yeah, totally. That's so absolutely right. As anyone who knows, who has run a project before knows. And also to clarify, you were just talking about our social tool. A lot of people aren't actually signed up for it, so I just want to let people know it's something you can do. It's a feature we have. I don't know what we call it, Kickstarter Social, I don't know. But it's a way to follow your friends, I mean, as you described on Kickstarter, to see what they're up to, whether they're launching projects or backing projects. It's a great discovery tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so outside of the Kickstarter universe, you are just involved, obviously, in the creative community. You yourself have an energetic and wonderful voice. A lot of the Kickstarter creators, when they come to the site, they literally will say things like, I don't know what social media is, or how do I get started? I don't know anything. So could you talk a little bit about how you've used all these tools to build and engage people and around your creative ideas?
Yeah. I was really lucky to have a background in music promotion. So I used to work at an agency, and we used to have these campaigns, these 8-week campaigns to promote single albums. So I basically learned the structure from that. Time is the biggest tool that you can give yourself. You need to budget time to get the project done. It takes a little longer to prepare and then to actually execute at the end. So we, we for my project, we budgeted about 3 months to get it done. And that's when like we had jobs. So if you don't like have other things to be getting done through the rest of your project life, you might be able to get it done sooner. But for us, like, it took us about 3 months to get this one done. So making a master schedule and a plan to stick to is a big thing. I can definitely like share what our timeline was, or if you go to my project and look at, well, you can't see all the updates, I realized, because you would have seen the updates if you backed the project.
Yeah.
I can definitely write something up and send it around or something. But let's see. Time. You need time.
Yeah.
And you need to know the people. Who are the people that will enjoy your project, and where do they hang out? That can be in person or that can be online. So in person, for music specifically, that's shows. Like, go to shows.
Yeah.
It's a big tool, because you can go meet people who like the same music as you, or meet bands who are going through the same thing. So I like going to meetups too, like meetup.com. I like going to meetups and kind of just talking to people about how they get the word out. And sometimes it's a newsletter from a band, or it's a tweet. You don't know. Everybody drinks a different social media cocktail.
Yeah.
So just kind of figure out like, who are these people that are going to like what you're doing, and where do they hang out? And that could be email, Twitter, Vine, even around Kickstarter. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Super, super practical. So you make it all sound so easy. So I think that another question people have about this whole like sharing, building community, where do they hang out question, is what kind of stuff? So you know who the people are, you know where they hang out, like what kind of stuff do you share with them? I know that sounds so basic, but we get that all the time.
No, it's, and I know that a lot of the time the end product that you're trying to fund is an album or a song. So giving people previews or performing for free in a video or online, you just need pieces to share. Either kind of the goal of what you're doing, like like your overall vision, because somebody may read it and be like, oh, I agree with you. Or giving people like great little snippets of your music, and not giving away the whole thing, because that's what you want to kind of give them in the end. But we did this remix sample on SoundCloud. So a part of our project was the whole B-side was going to be remixes. And instead of giving away the remixes for free to get people to come to our project, was to give like, 10 seconds of like, here's 10 seconds of this person's remix. Here's 10 seconds of this person's remix. And we shared that out,
Yeah.
on our existing social networks. Now, if you don't have one, it's good to start looking at your favorite bands that you admire, and seeing, what networks are they on, and then registering and kind of starting to follow and just converse with people. Because if you present yourself online fully, like, here's my project, here are links to it, and you just engage with people in a genuine way, and don't spam them. never spam them. They'll start to see what you're doing and follow along. It takes a lot of work. It actually does. Making community starts small, and starting small and really getting to know people who become your friends and supporters is really important.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think sort of key to that is that it's genuine and it's a lot of work, but it's good work, right? It's like work that you want to be doing regardless.
It's fun, and it goes by quickly if you really, really are enjoying it.
Yeah, cool. So we have a question here in the Hangout from Alan Kelly, who wants to know, how confident were you before you launching your project? Did you feel like you had guaranteed backers lined up, etc.?
Okay, so the way our project was structured is we had a hard time thinking about what our goal number should be, because it's all or nothing funding. So we wanted to be really sure that we were going to hit it. So we took our project costs, which was a cassette production run with a few promo copies thrown in, as well as, let's see. Yeah, just production costs from the cassette was what we started with. And we kind of multiplied that by like 3, because there are so many unexpected costs. Like shipping cassettes is way more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Interesting.
Back in 2007, when I was mailing CD promos, it was about $1.49 for CD promos to go across the country. For cassettes, unfortunately, with a cardboard foldover case, it's over $2 just to go across the country. And for international shipping, it was $9.
Oh my God.
It was, I mean, I'm glad you got your cassettes. But that was an unexpected cost.
Yeah.
We should have researched the postage beforehand, and you know, but I'm glad that we budgeted that buffer, like, because it was a little scary finding out all these extra things that we had to buy, like the actual packaging for the cassettes, shrink wrap, do you want it or not? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every single part of the production process. This is why I said budget extra time.
Extra time, extra money.
Yeah, extra money. So ours, compared to a lot of like the blockbuster Kickstarter projects, is relatively low. $2,000 is pretty low compared to other projects. But
and how many backers did you have? Can you remind me?
Ooh, I think it was 110.
Yeah. Yeah.
The secret to that actually was the tiers. We only had 4 reward tiers. We had a really low barrier of entry at $2. You know how earlier I said $1 is like a way to keep up with people.
Yeah.
We just kind of added another $1, you know, and added, well, thank you on Twitter. And that was really fun for me because I love tweeting. And it's something very natural to me. So it was very easy to deliver that, and it didn't cost us anything extra. So
yeah.
And then we had the cassette package at $12, and then we had a a launch party ticket that you could get with a cassette. And then our last tier was $100 for a Casio picnic in the park. And I'm a chef, so I like to cook for people, and that was just a really fun thing for me to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That was one thing that stood out to me. I mean, your rewards seemed really specific and really limited. But people seem to be generally excited about them. Like there was no like empty space there. So how did you figure that out? How did you know what to offer besides obviously your own interests, which you knew what you were doing?
Yeah, the big question was, how can we, what could we give that doesn't cost us more to produce? And so we just looked to our own skills. So I believe that a lot of musicians and creative people will have multiple skills, or friends who have multiple skills. Like if you have a friend who can illustrate, that could be a really, really fun low tier reward to have.
Yeah.
So thinking outside of the project itself, like that's the big question. What can you give that doesn't cost more money? And a lot of that stuff can be personal and go a long way. Like
yeah.
Thanking people on Twitter, sending a postcard. I mean, that does cost money, which is the postcard and postage. But it's still like a nice gesture. Thanking people is a big part of it. And I didn't even answer the question from before. Was I confident about our goal? We were pretty confident because we had the story of our project is that we've been playing in a band for 5 years. It takes us about a year to produce maybe a song and a half. And we really pushed ourselves to actually have an album after all this time. And so at shows, we were telling people to sign up for our email list and follow us on Twitter. And we're going to announce this thing. Hey, everybody, tell your friends. And I looked at our email list and I was like, roughly about like 100-ish people here. And if they gave maybe $5 each, we'd get like, this amount of money. And so I had all these dream scenarios of like quoting. So if 100 people gave us $1, this is how much we would have. If 100 people had $20 and gave it to us, that's how much you would have. And so having those projections, and then thinking about how comfortable you are talking to those individuals and asking them to give you money is kind of gives you a sense of your comfort level of where you're going to land.
That's really great, and it's related to a couple of the questions we've had come in. Before I pass them along to you, I'm just going to remind for the people who have just joined this Hangout, this is Stephanie from Kickstarter. We're talking to Jenn de la Vega. If you have questions, if you want to submit questions, send them our way. We would love to share them with Jenn so she can answer them for you. You can do it here in the Google Hangout. Or you could do it via Twitter, via @KickstarterTips, where we're also sharing some of the golden nuggets that Jenn is dropping as she talks. So I'm gonna give you a question from our community, from Tyler. He wants to know about Kickstarter. He's very interested in Kickstarter featuring you. Were you featured? Was this impactful? And then if you have any insights in like how to get featured.
I don't think we were featured. I think we were in an email from Kickstarter, like one of the, I forget what it's called.
Happening, maybe?
Yeah, Happening. We were a text update only.
Yeah.
And I think that email is specifically people who work at Kickstarter who are interested in certain projects. Yeah. So that was really nice. I think it was Michael. Shout out, Michael. I think it was. Yeah. But if your project is genuinely interesting, you shouldn't really have to worry about being featured. But a thing that we did, we had a press release that we wrote up. It's basically, when you're writing your copy for your Kickstarter campaign, all that stuff you're writing about, all the benefits and how you're going to do this, is easily repurposed into a Word document or a Google Doc or a PDF that you can email out to people. So you just need to tweak it a little bit. You can just Google press release templates and see how people like their information to be presented. But you're putting all this work into pitching it. Why not repurpose it into something you can send around?
Yeah, and actually that leads into another question we've gotten from Alan again. He wants to know if you used any paid advertising in your project.
Absolutely not. We did not.
All right.
Well, this is the thing. If you're going to hire a PR professional or a network of some sort, the thing that they're going to be doing is gathering that specialized mailing list or those influencers. They're going to know who to hit up about this stuff, and they're comfortable doing it. So if you want to start your own list and not have to spend all that money, it does take time to research, who is going to write about this, who is going to review this project. So this is an interesting thing. I found out that there is a radio show on Sirius XM that has a segment specifically about music Kickstarter.
No way.
He reached out to us, and that was crazy to us.
That's so cool.
Even just simply launching your project, people are scouring the categories, and you might get some reach outs from out of nowhere. But for us, we specifically had a press release, and we did what's called this is in the industry, competitor study. So you look at all the bands, for example, if on Spotify you're listening to a band and it has a list of recommended, bands, you figure out who those bands are, and you Google them and look for their reviews. And if you look at all the websites that wrote reviews about these people, you make a list of who those reporters are. And then you find them, on social, or see if their email is listed publicly. You can shoot them a note and say, "Hi, I really loved this review of this band," or "I make music that is very similar to this. If you're interested, I have more information." I always stop there, and I never send attachments to strangers because that's spamming.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. I'm not advocating for that, but I'm advocating for, reaching out if their information is public. Now, this is something that a lot of companies do, and I don't approve of it, is paying for contacts. Like, I don't like that. And people feel very violated when they're just kind of like, why is this guy emailing me?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really great insight, because we know a lot of our creators get contacted by people saying, "Hey, do you want to buy this list for me?" So
don't do it. Don't do it.
That's
You're
good.
gonna spam people. It's not right.
Cool. And it sounds like you had a lot of great success without having to resort to any of these steps.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we felt like our project was relatively small, and so we picked our top 10 contacts in the world. Like, who are 10 people that we really want to tell about this? And that didn't necessarily mean press. It could be people who just really love music and love sharing that they love music.
Yeah. Actually, so that leads to another question we've gotten through the Google Plus, which is the success of the campaign. Did it help spread the word about your band?
Oh, it did. Yeah. It was it was really fun. For example, that Sirius XM guy was one of them who broadcast the song that we sent him. That was really cool. The unfortunate thing is that we are not a band that traditionally puts out music regularly. As I said before, it takes us a year to produce like 2 songs. The difficulty is that I'm in New York and my partner Paul is in San Francisco, and so we try to do that postal service thing where we send tracks back and forth.
Oh my God.
But practicing in person is very difficult for us. So we did get a lot of exposure, but we could probably capitalize on that if we were more active. And I suggest that if you put out, a Kickstarter project and are successful, I suggest that you keep putting out stuff.
That's really smart.
Keep them engaged, and it's just fun.
Yeah. We have about 7 minutes left in this Hangout. For those of you watching, please send your questions through the Google Hangout or through @Kickstarter Tips. While we're waiting, I'll throw one your way based on what you just said. So you're based here in New York, your collaborators in SF. We hear from people all the time that having a team when doing a Kickstarter project is hugely beneficial, because that means that there's more than one of you doing all these bits and pieces. How did you coordinate between the two of you while you were doing this thing?
We had a Google Doc. So I had a checklist of everything we needed to do. So most of the time, it's individuals who are making these campaigns. And so it's on you to do all the production, all the promotion. And so it was very helpful to have all of that in one place. So we had one Google Doc, and that's one way to do it. But if you don't use that, I can suggest Evernote or this app called Todoist. You can set up a Google Calendar to keep you on track. So if you have that full plan written out, so week 1, we're going to do this. Week 2, we're going to do this. You can set it all up in a calendar or have these alarms and reminder systems to say, hey, work on this, especially if you are busy during the day and have a job. Staying on track was pretty hard, and we had a weekly check-in.
That's great.
Just the two of us. Did we get this done? No. Oh, okay, so let's try this next week. And it feels very structured and stuff, but you kind of need it.
Yeah, totally. It's great. Those are solid gold tips. Thank you. We have another question, another good one from Tyler here in Google Plus. Which social media platform was the most useful for you in terms of gaining backers and project momentum?
Whoa, gaining backers. I think it was Twitter for us at the time. This was about, I think, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
It was about a year ago, yeah.
Yeah. So Twitter at the time, I say that because Tumblr became our mainstay after a while, because you could put the SoundCloud links in Tumblr. So we get more random acts of browsing on Tumblr and Bandcamp than Twitter.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I think also just key for what you said, and Tyler, maybe this will help you. It's like about who you are, what kind of content you want to share, and also where your audience is, right? Like it's like Twitter worked for you at the time, right? And that's so key. You can't just like be like, oh, Twitter is the answer.
No. Like I said earlier, everyone has a different social media cocktail.
Yeah. I think that's super helpful. So we have about 5 minutes left in this chat with Jenn de la Vega, who ran a music project here on Kickstarter, and is also just obviously awesome at the internet and knows a lot about music. And she is here to take your questions. I can fire another one your way. Unless someone has a question. Questions? Anybody? Questions? So as you said, you're about a year and a half out, which means that this whole thing is in your past. Have you continued to stay in touch with those people who participated in your project? How is the life of that project continuing in any way in your life?
We are being pushed to create another album. There were a few fans, new fans that we were really excited about, and like added me on Snapchat and just started engaging with me outside of my music life. And so whenever I talk to that person, I'm sort of reminded, oh yeah, I should really work on a new song. We do have plans, by the way, everyone.
Good. I'm sure everyone's happy to hear it. And yeah, if you guys if you're watching and you haven't, we've shared a link to Jenn's profile page on Kickstarter, which links out to her Kickstarter project page, all the projects she backs, and also all her life on the internet. So I recommend you look at her project page. You can see how she embedded the SoundCloud remixes she was talking about. You can see her incredible project video. It's really great. We love it. And also her super, super excellent rewards.
Yeah, just a note about that video. The only reason that we had that kick-ass video was my partner, Paul. He works at Double Fine Productions, which is a gaming company, but he is the in-house documentary filmmaker. So we very luckily had all this equipment at within our reach, and it was super fun to make that video.
That's really cool. That's really cool. We have a very funny question for you.
Oh no.
I'm gonna go for it. Who is your favorite Alaskan? I don't know. Nick, what are you doing here? So Nick Brewer wants to know who your favorite Alaskan is.
Okay. I was like, there's only like one person I know. Alaska. And it's Nick Brewer.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you're being trolled. Well, we have another question from Kickstarter Tips. They want to know how often you sent newsletters while your project was live.
Newsletters. So I think we only did the one at launch. We didn't want to spam people. The thing was, we directed everyone to either back at the lowest level or at least follow the updates on Kickstarter. We were just trying to funnel everyone to the hub.
Yeah, and how many, did you send a lot of updates while your project was live?
Oh, pretty much every week.
How long did you run your project for?
I don't remember. I think it was the median number.
So like a month, 30 days?
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, we're just wrapping up. Do you have parting tips, words of advice for our listeners, our watchers, our viewers?
I don't know. Like, if you have more questions, please feel free to tweet me or, Jay de la Vegas or the short sleeves at the short sleeves. I'll be able to see that. Thanks, guys. This is great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Jenn. Yeah, this was so good. So yeah, everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be doing this again next week. We'll be posting the video to Jenn's talk via @Kickstarter Tips and also the Facebook page. And also here, the video will be available on Google+. So if you want to dig back into all this gold, it will be available for you. So thanks, Jenn. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.